Welcome back to Adam Drives LA. My name is Adam. Today we are reviewing the brand new, totally redesigned 2022 BMW M240i. This has the X-Drive. We're gonna take it up in the canyons for a fun drive to see how this thing handles compared to other BMWs. We'll go over the interior features and of course, most importantly, all of these small BMW subcompact coupes like the 1 Series, the 2 Series have always been criticized for their design, which is the most controversial aspect of this one. We will spend some time talking about that. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. All right, I think the best place to start is probably the most controversial aspect of this car, and that would be its exterior design. Now, the 2 Series and the 1 Series have always been kind of controversial. People either love it or they hate it. I will tell you, in images, when I first saw this thing, I said it's probably going to be uncomfortable to look at, which it was in images, and it's probably going to look odd as far as proportions are concerned. Now, seeing it in person, I will tell you, I have done a full 180. I think it's drop dead gorgeous. The proportions are spot on. I'm going to go over all of that, but first let's talk about that Thundernight Purple Metallic. Beautiful color. I think the best color to get on this car, and probably the best color I have ever seen on a BMW anywhere. So design wise, first let's talk M Sport. You get the M brakes. These are the M specific wheels, and you get an M aero kit. Now, speaking of that aero kit, while we're up front, let's talk about the grills. We don't have those massive vertical grills that look like teeth in the front of the BMW, something everybody seems to have hated with the 4 Series, the 3 Series. So I'm glad that the 2 went back to these beautiful kidney grills that are closed. They open up as you turn on the car and start moving. They close, of course, when the ventilation is done and your car is turned off. These gunmetal accents here, the wheels, the mirrors, they contrast so well with this color in particular, but I'm sure with any color you're gonna get this car, the contrasting materials, the tones, they just do such a good job of putting together a nice spec, especially for this car because it is special. It's been totally redesigned for this year. Let's talk about the body lines, this body language. The hood up here, this bulge on top, very reminiscent of an M3, an M4. I love these body lines. The headlights got smaller, really angular. Wait till you see the rear end. Come around the side. First, again, that the highlights being caught on this color is just, it's unbelievable. In person, it really just shines everywhere. Anyone that has stopped to give me a compliment on this car always mentions the color first. This is something that grabs everyone's attention. I am just in love with this color. This really rigid, sharp body line that puts the dark and the light tones when the sun hits it. The new door handle. You have these darker kits down here. Again, this is gonna be probably only part of the M package for the M240s. I doubt the M230 has this kind of two-tone touch to it. These reflection puddles that you get on the front and the rear, I'm not sure if it's picking up yet. This is where all the magic is in the design. This puts the proportions together because really accentuates the fenders, the width of the car, so it doesn't look as much like a toy. This is, of course, when it comes time to drive it, you will see it really helps in the handling aspect. Over here, you can see they have completely hidden the B-pillar. It's behind the windows, so this looks like one continuous piece. You can see that this is glass on glass. This goes to really elongate this area here. You know, having a big, thick B-pillar here on such a small car already is just another waste. It just doesn't look good. This looks more modern, more clean. It just becomes all black here, beautiful reflections. So this is what we're looking for on a car like this. Now, with all that said about the rest of the car, let's wrap around to the rear 3/4 angle. This has been probably the most controversial part of this particular model, but has now become my favorite angle on this car. The first thing you notice, this taillight, the amount of detail in the actual shell, the housing of this, it's not just a flat taillight here that's rounded. This is actually coming out, going in, down here. This is on a totally different plane. To me, amazing attention to detail, looks really good. Small, tight, I like it. BMW is doing a new thing with this LED in this shape. You can see it on all their SUVs, so I like the way they've carried it here. This could have very easily screwed everything up, but they did it. They translated it really nicely. You have a little tiny lip up here. Tiny, I mean, not noticeable, but just does the right job of making this a little bit sportier. This is, of course, the X-Drive, the exhaust. Although this is not the true tip, it's still fine because the tip is directly behind it, just a little bit smaller. You have a really aggressive diffuser. And again, this is probably my favorite angle on this car, is the rear end. Really aggressive. You can see the wide fenders. I think they've overall done a fantastic job designing this, as much as it might hurt people to hear that until you see this thing on the road. Hopefully in this Thundernight Purple Metallic, you will come around. I promise you, this thing looks so much better in person than it does in pictures. With all that said, let's jump into the interior. Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, as you enter, my favorite thing of this model is something they've just introduced. Look at this. This is such a cool touch with these colors, the M colors, very signature. I mean, you don't know at first if it's a soft material, if it's plastic, if it's carbon fiber. So I will let you touch it yourself when you get a chance. Very cool touch. I love that attention to detail. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the interior because frankly, it's very similar to every other BMW interior of this generation. So I will link my review of the BMW 3 Series from 2021 and my 2021 BMW 8 Series review, so you can kind of see the iDrive system. This one has the iDrive 7.0 operating system. This instrument cluster is about 12.5-inch digital cluster up here up front. And again, like I said, everything else is pretty similar to every other BMW. You have your heated steering wheel. The steering wheel is unchanged. M steering wheel feels really good. Paddle shifters, of course, attached to the back of the steering wheels. Over here, you have some piano black with these aluminum accents. Always look good in pretty much every BMW, but I do think they need to differentiate between the models. Every BMW cannot have the same exact interior. Seats, very comfortable. When we go on the drive, I will talk a little bit more about how they keep you in place. Now, as for the rear seats, as expected of any car in this class, in this category, you're gonna have awful space back there. Not a lot of space. I'm not even gonna jump back there to show you. I'm just too tall for it, but I can see it visually. I mean, height is gonna be an issue, width is gonna be an issue, legroom is gonna be an issue. So don't expect to get a lot of legroom in here. It's better than the 1 Series, but I can still see this is not gonna be something you're gonna wanna be in for a long time if you're spending time in the back. Other than that, you've got some storage up here, your cup holders, your USB, wireless charging, some of that, a little bit of storage over here, storage on the doors. So you get what you need. That's the point of this car. You don't get too much extra. You get pretty much exactly what you need. So like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on the interior because honestly, the exterior design and the drive of this car are what sells it. So before we get into the drive, I do want to ask you for a favor. If you've enjoyed this video up until this point, hit me with a like, leave a comment if you have something to say. Really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. With all that said, let's get into the drive of this thing. Okay, so the M240i X-Drive has a 3.0 turbo inline 6 that makes about 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. So let's see how this thing handles. It is a perfect 50-50 distribution, very near perfect, they say. You feel that X-Drive. You know, when you're in sport mode, it does just enough. You can kind of feel it squirm away from earlier driving, I know, but it does enough where you confidently go into it knowing that it will brake just a little bit. It will brake out, you know, it'll let you slide around just an inch, just a bit, to kind of check you, to let you know you're just at the limit. So you can go through various sport settings on this. I like it on the standard sport. The car handles tremendously well. The acceleration, like I said, it is 4.10 to 60, but it feels much faster. There's something about that X-Drive. It does so well. It performs tremendous on a canyon like this. We're up in the hills near Pasadena, where I went to school, so I'm pretty familiar with these roads. Shifting is quick. This has that 8-speed automatic. A manual is sure to come for the M2, probably later this year, maybe next year. Now, even though it's a turbo with a smaller engine, the 3.0, it is extremely responsive. I mean, the turbo lag is near non-existent. This thing puts a real smile on my face. I like cars like this that are nimble, they handle, they brake well, very aggressive. This is those M brakes, but again, that acceleration, once you get over that first, just that 5-10 miles per hour that you have to get through with the turbo lag, after that, it is just light speed. The thing feels so good. Again, the level of confidence just through the roof. During the driving, especially in aggressive driving, it feels light too. It feels lighter than it is. That's why I would definitely say stay away from a convertible version of this. If they do make one, if it is available now, do not go with the convertible, because I think that will change the driving dynamics of it. This feels so good and so nimble, exactly the way it is. I would hate to alter it in any way. But that 0 to 60, look, with a little bit of turbo boost, look at that. We're off. That's already 60, and it feels faster than they say on paper, which BMW has been kind of notorious for that in the past. It's kind of a rumor, but I mean, I feel it for sure. And that X-Drive, so good. All right, now that I've driven it for quite a while, let's pull over. Let me give you my final thoughts on whether or not you should buy the brand new BMW M240i. All right, guys, now that we drove this thing up on the canyons, we really saw what it's capable of. We talked about the exterior, the interior features. Let's get down to it. So, you did not hear me say a lot of negative things about this car. So if it sounds like a paid review to you, I wish it was, but it really is not. This is truly a fantastic car, especially at its price point, which we never really got into. So these start at $48,000. Now, with all the options, you can get these up to close to 70. So be careful with the options you add. If you can go without something, you probably should, because to have a car with this level of performance, this kind of styling, this level of refinement and refreshed, sort of everything that you get from BMW, all of it is just refreshed. You want to stay close to the 55, maybe the $60,000 range. You don't want to go past that. I'm assuming this package is well over the $60,000 range, so be careful with that. But with that said, fantastic car. I truly wish I owned one. It's not something that I'm looking into because I just generally like the bigger cars, but if you are looking for a Canyon Carver that can be a daily driver, that looks great, that handles great, that has plenty of power, faster than you would expect, this is the car for you. I'm not going to get into the competitors because in my eyes, there really are none. Bar none, this is just the best car you can get, probably in this price range, to achieve what this car can achieve. So with all that said, that's going to wrap up yet another review. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, leave a comment if there's anything that I missed. I will see you in the next video.